Hey friends, it's Spence. Today I'll be sharing with you my Wikathon TBR. So just last week, Wikathon 3 was finally announced and the theme is Wikathon 3 Readerakas. If you are not familiar with Wikathon, basically it's a Filipino-themed readathon for the entire month of August hosted by your Tita Kate. I'll have the link to their blog below. So this is the third year that Kate is hosting Wikathon, and for the entire month we want to celebrate Filipino authors and their works. This year though, we're expanding beyond just Filipino authors and celebrating Filipino creativity. So again, the title of Wikathon 3 is Readerakas, inspired by the film Readerakas, which is a very funny Filipino film, or so I've heard. I haven't seen it yet.
We're here because Marlon is signing a contract with us. Hindi ka ba na-brief?
Unang-una, hindi naman ako nagbe-brief.
And that's because we are combining books and movies into this celebration. So that said, not only will there be reading prompts, there are also watching prompts. This may be a Filipino-themed readathon, but anyone can absolutely join because all of the movies that we are going to ask people to watch are fairly accessible. They have English subtitles, and a lot of them actually have very important issues that they tackle with regards to understanding the Philippines, its history, culture, and context. So let's get into the reading prompts first. The first prompt is Gaya sa Pelikula.
Hi, neighbor.
So Gaya sa Pelikula is a limited online series. You can actually also watch it on Netflix. And it's pretty much like a BL series or like a male-male romance. So for this prompt, read a book that was adapted into a movie. For this prompt, you can read She's Dating the Gangster, Aba Nakakabasa Na Pala Ako, Smaller and Smaller Circles, also Dekada 70. But for this one, I think I'll pick Smaller and Smaller Circles. I actually don't know a lot about what this book or this film is about. All I know is that there are priests involved, and it's kind of like a mystery thriller type story, and that's really all I need to know. The next prompt is Diary ng Pangit.
I would like you all to meet my girlfriend.
Diary ng Pangit is actually a Wattpad book that was adapted into another movie, and what it translates to is Diary of an Ugly Person or an Ugly Girl. And for this prompt, I'm just going to be straightforward with it and actually read Diary ng Pangit, or alternatively, I could also read She's Dating the Gangster. Again, don't know a ton about this book or it's the story. I just know that in one of the cover photos, like the girl's face is kind of covered in acne, and that's why she kind of perceives herself to be ugly. So I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of the message of the book is. Next prompt is Enteng Cabezote.
Eto ang inyong mga espada.
Ay, naman? Espada ba to?
So Enteng Cabezote is a movie franchise in the Philippines that has a ton of movies. It even has like crossovers with like other movie franchises. And the first movie I think was pretty groundbreaking because this was like a huge like epic fantasy. But anyway, for this prompt, read a fantasy book. For this one, I'm thinking I could either read Lalani of the Distant Sea by Erin Entrada Kelly. I'm kind of on a mission to read all of Erin Entrada Kelly's works. Again, don't know much about what this book is about. Alternatively, I could also read Arusha and the End of Time by Roshni Chokshi, who is, I think, half Filipino. This is a Rick Riordan Presents book, and I've been meaning to read more Rick Riordan's Presents book. I've only read one, so I think this could be a good choice as well. The next prompt is Bukas na lang kita mamahalin.
Bakit? Takot ka?
Ba't naman ako matatakot sa'yo, no? Wala akong balak magpa-fertilize sa'yo.
I actually haven't seen this movie. I have no idea what it's about, but the title translates to I'll Love You Tomorrow, or I'll love you tomorrow instead. Something roughly along those lines. So for this one, read a book that you've been putting off. And for this one, it's not that I have been putting this book off. It's just that I've never come around to it, And that is Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Ribay. I feel like I'm super late to this book because this book kind of tackles the previous President Duterte's war on drugs through the lens of a Filipino-American. And now that President Duterte's regime is over, I feel like I'm just super duper late to this. But I think it's still pretty relevant. Out of all the books in this list, by the way, I think this would be my top one priority. The next prompt is Billy and Emma.
Wala ka nang favorite song, tapos hindi ka pa marunong mag-bite. Mas marami naman akong alam kaysa sa'yo, kaya wag ka nga ang feeling.
So Billy and Emma, I haven't seen it, but I will watch it soon. I think it's a sapphic romance story, I think between two high school students. So the prompt is read a book with a queer main character. For this one, I'm picking a Book Talk popular book, and that is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I think in this book we follow like a cast of 6 main characters, it's fantasy, and I think 1 or 2 of the main characters are queer. I really don't know anything about this book, and I want to keep it that way because there have been super mixed reviews around this book, and I just want to get into it, without much expectation. The next prompt is Saving Sally.
I am actually hoping to become a comic book artist. I could use a good inker. You interested?
So Saving Sally is a movie I haven't seen, but I will watch it during Wikathon. And it's a mix of like live action and animation. And so for this prompt, read a graphic novel or a webtoon. Again, I'm gonna read another book that I'm super late to, and that is Trece, or like I'll read at least the first volume of Trece. And it's like a dark horror, contemporary fantasy sort of story. And it's actually been adapted into a Netflix series. I've heard it's pretty good. Next prompt is Shake, Rattle, and Roll.
Kung sino mang kaluluwa ang naririto, tulungan mo kaming sagutin ang aming mga tanong.
Shake, Rattle, and Roll is another movie franchise. It's a series of horror films that are just like absolutely blood-curdling. I never really grew up with horror movies, so I haven't really seen any of the movies. I may have seen clips at some point, but I've never really seen a full-length Shake, Rattle, and Roll movie. And for this prompt, read a horror, thriller, or mystery book. So some options I'm considering, I could just combine this with Trece. I could also combine this with like smaller and smaller circles. Next prompt is One More Chance.
I just made the choice.
And you chose to pick me.
Again, this is another movie that I have not seen, and I will get to them, I promise. Actually, no, I'm not going to promise anything. So the prompt is to read a romance novel. And for this prompt, I'm going to pick either Before Ever After or Love and Gravity by Samantha Soto. Solely for the reason that when I was in college, or I guess I still am, I haven't graduated yet. In one of my English classes, our professor required us to attend a book signing event with Samantha Soto. And it was pretty fun. I didn't really know about Samantha Soto or read any of her books, but it was a fun experience. So I want to, finally just get into one of her books. And the last reading prompt is Oro.
Pakawalan niyo yan! Mga tauhan ko yan! Anong karapatan niyong hulihin sila? Walang permit! Matagal na nilang hanap buhay yan!
For this prompt, read a book by a non-Tagalog author. So I think this prompt is kind of an attempt to decentralize the idea of the Filipino as, just hailing from Manila, being a Tagalog speaker. And so we want to have other regions of the Philippines represented. For this prompt, I'm actually super excited about this because I want to read The Wolf of Oreñaro by K.S. Villoso. K.S. Villoso is from Bicol, and this is like a well-beloved, or I guess up and rising, fantasy series. I think next to Patron Saints of Nothing, this would be my second priority. In terms of other books that I want to read, I really want to read the Bone Witch trilogy by Ren Chupeco. I want to read this book called Tall Story because it's middle grade. And I think as much as possible, I'm going to read as many Erin Entrada Kelly books as I can. An attempt will be made to, read all of Erin Entrada Kelly's bibliography and kind of review all of them in a future video. No promises, but an attempt will be made. For the movie prompts, these are the movies that we want participants of Wikathon to watch. Number 1, Dekada 70.
Na hindi ko mahal ang mga anak ko ng pantay-pantay katulad ng pagmamahal ko sa panganay ko anak. Para masabi ko sa'yo, hindi totoo yan! Hindi totoo yan!
Number 2, Smaller and Smaller Circles.
Ayoko na pinapanood. Gusto ko lang pumatay.
Number 3, The Kingmaker. This is a must-watch.
There was a big reception. I had to wear jewelry. And we were told, get into the helicopter. So I put diamonds in diapers. It saved us later on to pay the lawyers.
Number 4, General Luna.
Negosyo o kalayaan, bayan o sarili, pumili ka!
Number 5, Goyo ang Batang General.
Bakit tayo pirming nakatingala, sumasamba na walang pagdududa?
Number 6, She's Dating the Gangster.
Nagiging totoo na.
Totoong ano?
Totoong nagugustuhan na kita.
Number 7, That Thing Called Tadhana.
Valentine's Day 2010.
Hong Kong.
2008.
Spaghetti.
Censored Day.
Number 8, Die Beautiful.
Di ka ba nanay?
Nanay, di ba mahal kita? Hindi nga lang ako babae, pa. Pero akong nanay mo.
And number 9, Saving Sally. So I'll leave a link to Kate's blog post where she details everything more in depth in the description below. So for the watching prompts, I actually have a sort of bookstagram where I review books, movies, and series. Usually I review Oscar-nominated films there, but for the month of Wikathon, I'm going to focus on watching these Wikathon movies and reviewing them on my Instagram. So just go check out @Spensoria and you should find me there. That is it for my Wikathon TBR and my plans for Wikathon. Let me know your TBR down in the comments below. Don't forget to check out Kate's blog post, also the other hosts. All of those details will be in Kate's blog post, so make sure to go check that out. That is it for today's video, and I'll see you soon, Readerakas. Tara na!